Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be trying out some affordable acrylic paints. I used acrylic quite frequently in high school and in art school in college, and I've used them for large pieces like murals and even painting shields for people who do medieval reenactment. Obviously, acrylics are not a medieval medium, but they are waterproof and they adhere quite well to wood, so it makes them a little more durable than they might have historically been. This little set here I think was about $7 Canadian, so very cheap. I haven't even opened them. I've been waiting to try them out on this channel just for fun, just to show what you can create with cheaper hobby grade materials. Like, I wouldn't say that these are student or artist grade. They're craft grade, I think. But I do like the Bria Reese brushes. I have some of them and they're fine. They're nice. So I want to try out these high viscosity acrylics, heavy body, so that means these are going to be good for creating texture, hopefully. We'll see. So I'll try to create a little texture on this piece that I try out, but I'll also use them thinly, and we'll see what they do. We'll see what we can make. So I thought just that this color set was cute. It doesn't have any neutral colors, but I'll show you what I'm going to paint, and we're going to mix some neutrals out of these, hopefully. So I recently, yesterday, bought the new Animal Crossing game for Nintendo Switch. I've never played an Animal Crossing game ever, so if you guys have, let me know, I guess. I'm new to it, but I've always, like when I was a kid, I played Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town. Like every road trip, every time I was in the car, I was playing that game. And I also have Stardew Valley for my Xbox, and I like that a lot too. So this is sort of in that Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley, like cute, relaxing sort of game. And so far I'm really enjoying it. I had to Google how to fish because I couldn't figure it out. My fish kept running away, but now I know how to fish. And so one of the villagers that I got on my island was Pashmina, and she's like a brown goat with blue horns. I printed out a little reference picture here. So I'm gonna paint a goat with the colors of Pashmina the goat from Animal Crossing, because why not? I was waiting so long to come up with an idea that would suit these cute colors, and here it is. I'm gonna do it. So here's my sketch. So it's like a realistic goat, but yeah, it's gonna be Pashmina colors and really bright and fun. So I will get these squished out. I'm using over here. Ooh, can you see it over here? This is just some palette paper. I prefer using that. It's a little bit wasteful, but acrylics you can't wash down the sink anyway. They've got polymers in them. It's best to just throw them out. So yeah, we'll use this and then start with some base layers. I think I'm gonna probably start with the hot pink as a base layer because it'll give the goat itself, with the brown and whatever, it'll give it a nice warm undertone with the pink, like fantasy warm, not like full of life warm. Anyway, let's just get into this, shall we? Alright, so they come in cardboard with this little plastic holder here, but this can be recycled. This is sort of the proper stiff plastic for recycling. And each tube itself is 0.4 fluid ounces or 12 milliliters. I'm probably not going to use very much of the turquoise or the lime, but I may use them to sort of tone back the pinks. We will see. But I'll start with the hot pink because that's what I want for my base color. And they're actually sealed with tinfoil, which is unusual for paints, especially for something that already came in a box, but it has a little pokey thing on here, so there. One thing I'm noticing right away is that this paint actually has a lot of white content in it. And I've got some red watercolor still in my brush. There's I feel like I'm a very messy painter, or lazy. I'm not sure what it is. A lot of people take very good care of their brushes. They use like 2 cups of water, like, to clean them super clean. Anyway, I'm messy, haha. So these paints, they have quite a bit of white in them actually, which is surprising. And I'm gonna really thin it out around the face so that I can still see my underdrawing. But you can see how the like acrylic, and this is just how acrylic works, you get a lot more of the brush strokes in your work than you would with watercolor or gouache, because the pigments, being polymer bound, are not flowing as freely in the water. Which is totally fine. It's just a different, you just need a slightly different approach. And probably what we'll do after this is cover up the pink again, if that makes sense. Because then we'll just have little shreds of pink showing through rather than the whole thing being like pink. That'll make more sense later. One thing that I just realized is obviously we don't have a white. We don't have white. We don't have white, and if we're just using all this stuff with no white, we're gonna run into trouble. So I'm gonna dig out a white from my stash just to supplement this set. So if you're just doing like shapes, or you're just painting, say, wooden objects or marbling paper or something, you know, whatever you're doing, you probably don't need white. But I'm painting a goat and I want white, so I'm gonna find my white. Okie dokie, here's my white. This is just the Liquitex Basics. It's a really cheap brand. Yeah. Ta-da! Alright, and I immediately got it all over my hand. Oh, look at that. Oh, gross. Wow, I look like an artist now, or like a carpenter maybe. Alright, you can still see everything. Okay, so while the background is sort of drying a little bit more, it's mostly dry, there's a few blobs, but we're gonna leave the blobs because these are heavy body acrylics, and that's sort of the point of them. I'm going to mix a color for her horns. So here's my reference picture, and it's sort of this cyan color. And now this blue here is not quite right. So I'm going to open it up with the white. And you can use a palette knife if you want. But you know what? My brushes have been through the ringer and they will continue to be through the ringer, so I don't really care. So that's getting close, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add like a tiniest bit of yellow. Not enough to turn it green, but just enough to brighten it up. All right. Does that make sense? It's like, it's the tiniest, weeniest bit of yellow. And it's just gonna make it a little more of that cyan kind of turquoise color. Okay, that'll do for now. And the tricky part about using a set like this is that we're gonna want some sort of a brown color. Here's a brush that I've already used for acrylic, so it's it's stiff. And that's what I want for this part of the painting. I'm going to start by mixing an orange using the yellow and the hot pink. You're going to want mostly yellow, and then be careful with the hot pink while you're adding it. You can watch the corner of my page here because the hot pink is going to be stronger than the yellow. All right, so it's already turning orange. You can see that over there. And with acrylic, like when you're mixing big swaths like this, I mean, I'm gonna be a total, I was like, I'm not gonna use a palette knife, but actually I'm gonna use a palette knife. So I'll move the goat over. You can watch me here. Sorry, there's a hair in this. I'm a mess today. It's been a weird week. I'm sure you all agree. So you want to scrape it up and then spread it back down. It's sort of like icing. All right, so that's getting orange all right. I want a little bit more warmth because she's not like a medium brown. She's more like a warm brown, like kind of a mink color. So put more pink in there. Okay. All right, and then to deepen it up, I'm going to use a couple different colors. So we've got the lilac, we've got the blue. And the turquoise here, which is the darkest color. So I'm just gonna start by taking a little bit of everything there, and you see how it becomes sort of a darker blue. Because blue is the complementary of orange, if we start adding that to our orange here, just a little bit, just probably even less than that. Okay, it's gonna darken the whole color. Okay, we're getting there. I'm gonna add a little bit more. All right, perfect. I would say that's our goat color. A little warmer than the reference picture I've printed out, but obviously the whole painting is warmer than that. So we'll slide that back onto the screen, and I'm gonna start blocking it in, sort of where the shadows will be. I'm gonna start in the darker areas of the goat's face. And I'm saving some of the dark blue up here because I will use that to define the goat's features later. So I'm doing a little bit of dry brushing as well. These colors, I mean, for being $7, are really, really nice, but of course, they're not very opaque. The most opaque color in acrylics is white. The white is what makes it, what prevents the light from getting through the color. So and you can see down here like why underpaintings are so essential to acrylic, is that a lot of the pink is still showing through the brown that I'm putting down, just because of the quality of acrylic, and that it isn't always super opaque. Like even using straight gouache out of the tube is usually more opaque than acrylic. And of course it depends on what acrylic you're using. These are $7 acrylics from Walmart. But you know, you layer them and you get to know them, and you can pretty much always get your art supplies to do what you want, except for paper. Paper has a mind of its own. If you have bad paper, there's nothing worse. Now, because these are heavy body acrylics, or so they say, they're kind of normal, honestly. They're kind of normal acrylics. I am making sure to paint in the direction of the fur where I can, because that way the brush strokes will enhance the natural sort of aspect of the painting, and they won't hinder the effect of it being a goat. and painting an animal. I know that Denise Soden of In Liquid Color put up a class on Skillshare about painting animal textures in watercolor. So if that's something that interests you and you have Skillshare, that might be worth checking out. I've always been interested in Skillshare, but never really gotten around to really taking advantage of it. Okay, now that we've got sort of the brown starting to be blocked in, I'm going to make a lighter color that will be sort of the nose and the eyelids of the goat. So I'm just mixing the base brown that we mixed with some white. And again, doing a little bit of dry brushing to integrate the colors. There's a few different ways you can approach blending with watercolor, or with acrylic, my bad. You can glaze, which involves watering down your paint, or a better method is to use a medium with it. You can also mix intermediary colors and apply them that way, or you can dry brush. Anyway, as you can see, we're already starting to get more variation in color on the goat, on Mrs. Pashmina. And she's starting to gain a little bit of 3D form. Not a lot yet, but we're getting there. I want to go for sort of a mix between realism and a graphic approach, so we'll see what it turns out like in the end. Again, I haven't used acrylic in quite a while, but paint's paint. You're always just trying to make a nice image, right? Okay, let's see here. All right, so I think the next step here is going to be, well, actually I forgot I gave her a little beard, so I'm gonna block that little wisp in so that I stop forgetting about it. I'm going to do her eye in the yellow, and I'm also gonna block in, the background in a yellow as well, like a buttery sort of sunshiny yellow. So we'll do that, and I'm going to use a fresh brush for the yellow of her eye. You really got to be careful with yellow so that it doesn't like get contaminated. So that'll do for the eye, and then we will fill in the details of the eye later. And I'm just going to mix a very light yellow down here. And because the eye is yellow, having a yellow background will go really well with that. Okay, so I'm just going to carve around the shape. And you'll see that getting rid of like the brightness of the pink, even though I'm leaving it in sort of the edges and stuff, it's going to bring the attention back to the focal point, of course, which is Pashmina. And this is looking pretty white on the camera screen. We'll see how it looks in post, but I promise it's sort of a soft lemon meringue kind of color. I'll do a second coat anyway after. Okay, so that's laid down, and I mean the main bit now is basically just modeling the goat. So I'm gonna throw on some music for you guys and keep on doing that, and I will check back in when the painting is done. Right, and here is the finished piece. So you can see that even with $7 acrylics from Walmart, you can create a lot of depth and texture. And of course it dries quite quickly, like really quick. It's acrylic, very classic acrylic characteristic, unless you buy open acrylics, which take longer to dry. And there's a bit of a shine to them, so they're not as velvety matte as gouache. But I think overall they were really fun to use. Of course, being affordable, I don't mind so much about, you know, being precious with them. They're fun to play around with. I had a good time testing them out, getting a feel for acrylic again. At 12 milliliters per tube, they're not going to last super long, so that's definitely part of why they're so affordable. But I mean, look, they're fun. You're gonna need some white, most likely. But you can see how they layer. You know, we've still got some of that nice hot pink showing through. I've put some more hot pink over the top. And even with the colors given, you can still mix your neutrals. I think this turned out pretty cute. I love goats and ungulates. I love painting them. And I don't know, I just think it's super cute. I'm enjoying Animal Crossing so far. If you've got the new Animal Crossing game, let me know in the comments below what your island's like. What fruit do you have? Who are your favorite villagers, or who did you start out with? So I hope you enjoyed this, a little bit of a funny fan art and this video. And take care, everybody. I know it's crazy times all around the world, but you know, take some time to do something that you like anyway. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!